everybody, and welcome to End of Rainbow, where we discuss the last campaign that we completed. This is, of course, for Gillyton Campaign 1. I am your Dungeon Master, Laura Galliher, and I am joined with my players, Sera, who was Kaylee the Rogue, Cameron, who was Waterloo Sunset, the Problem, David as Tez, the Wanty, which I'm so excited to talk about that, and our special guest player Jess as Snips. Thank you guys so much. Also, if you guys enjoyed our campaign, like, subscribe, and stick around for the next campaign that we have coming out. It's going to be so much fun, and David is going to be the dungeon master for that one. So we'll talk about that later. But anyway. It's so spoopy. So let's get started. My big question is, what did you guys think of Gillyton? No words.
Magnifique.
Reeling. That's the word I got. Reeling.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jess.
Oh, well, I loved playing it in this setting. Honestly, it was so super fun because I don't know if you talked about it, but there was like a little test run with others, and I was a part of that one, and it was so different. So different. So playing this one with all of you guys was really fun, and I feel like I had a good pace. So it's exciting. Snips is a family now.
He's got a mom and dad and everything.
Yeah, he's been adopted.
Sera, any thoughts?
I have loved it. I've loved it.
I've loved
playing in this setting. I've loved playing in the 90s. I miss the 90s. I don't miss the 90s. Terrible time, folks. Just
really bad. Really bad.
But it is familiar to me. So it's been nice.
So Jess, as Jess stated, there was like a practice. We will call it the practice run. This campaign setting was actually the first D&D campaign I ever DM'd. And I started it because I couldn't find anybody to play with. I couldn't be a player, so I said, "Well, I'll just DM myself." That's the story of every DM. It feels like, and I was too nervous to start a module because I don't like being held down by a book, and I'm a little too ADHD for that. So I just made up one. So it was really, really cool to be able to, like, the first run was with friends, and Jess was somebody that I had known from school. So but a lot of inexperienced players. So I was unbelievably excited to bring this to players who have a lot more experience and could focus more on the actual puzzles and the story of it without being distracted by, like, okay, now how do I roll initiative? So that was my big thing that I was super excited about. So yeah. We do have a list of questions.
I want to start with one from one of our viewers at home, like you.
Specifically you.
You, the person who has a chopstick full of ramen noodles halfway to their mouth. I'm talking to you. God, I hope that's gotta hit sometime, right?
That was really funny. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
It'll probably be me when I watch this back.
We all nodded, like we're all stand-up
good.
comedians going, I like the joke. Good one.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Look, that was a good 8 out of 10.
Waterloo has slipped into Cameron's bloodstream.
Yeah, that's a permanent fixture now.
My question is, take the fucking glasses off, Waterloo, so I can talk to Cameron for a second.
Come back, Cameron. Come back.
No.
No. What were some of the interesting hurdles setting a fantasy game in modern times?
The big one is, like, the tropes, like those classic fantasy tropes. but I would like, unfortunately, I don't think we can call the 90s modern times. So it's enough removed that it's like still, we were living, the Gillyton is a fantasy 90s of like like not the real one that we all hated or didn't actually weren't aware of life in. So that's, I don't know. I mean, I think the big hurdle was finding ways to like to tie them together, to be like, okay, so this is how 5e works. How can I make that relevant or even make sense in a modern 90s campaign? So I think that was, but I like that challenge. So I think that if it's a hurdle, but a fun hurdle. So yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yeah, no, I think you definitely like set yourself up with success by making it such like an insular like experience too. Like, yes, it's like one thing to have like this modernity on like a ginormous scale where there's like so many of like the like worldly things that like we could pull on, especially like how fucking chaotic we are. But like I think it was fucking killer that you're like, you have this town, you have these specific things, and there is something fucking happening, and you got to figure it out. So it was like driving and like contained and just very well done.
Thank you.
No, I think one of the difficult problems and with modern settings and why fantasy makes the most sense for low to mid to even like high magic is, one, technology makes a lot of magic obsolete, but two, there's a wider explored world and more knowledgeable resources, right? So your average quote unquote peasant for like 700 years, right, never traveled farther than 25 miles from their home. Most less than 10. And now that option, and even the knowledge, even if the travel isn't there, is like so easy to do. So making it just to sort of like the other side of the coin, if you will, to Cameron's point, that it was really good to make it contained like that because it eliminates most of your problems. Brilliantly done, Lauren. Brilliant.
Thank you. I will also say there was a big reason. I mean, like, I did the 90s because originally it was for I was making a campaign for a bunch of people in their mid 30s, so it was nostalgia, like, and it was for a group of people that were all kind of from my hometown. So that a lot of the references that are in this campaign, guys, are actual references to where I grew up or like my life as a teenager. But I also like the 90s because you don't have cell phones. So it's still enough removed. Yeah. So it's like, you don't have the internet. Like, no one tried to get on dial-up, which was a thing. Like, if you guys had tried it, I would have allowed it, but it would have like taken, like there would have been consequences for that. But yeah, it's the 90s. It's like just enough removed that it's like, you got the nostalgia, but also it's a challenge. Like, it's not easy. You guys had to look up a phone book. Like, who does that?
I love it.
So good. Yeah.
Well, there's also that it gave me strong vibes, especially at the end there, of that 90s show where it all ends up in that kid's head.
Oh.
Do I sound like an insane person right now?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but I haven't. No, that's very 90s. I don't know what show you're talking about, but that is a very 90s thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a hospital show. And then, like, at the end of the series finale, it turned out like it was all kids, like, playtime.
St. Elsewhere.
That's hilarious.
St. Elsewhere?
Is that what it's called? St. Elsewhere?
To Google.
Ending.
This is why we were glad to play in the 90s.
The final episode revealed that this timeline was actually in the afterlife. Elsewhere, it was because it was all just a dream finale, ending with the revelation that St. Elgin Hospital and its staff were all the creations of an autistic and took place inside a snow globe. Ooh. Yeah.
We've talked about this before. The snow globe thing really struck something with me. I feel like we've had this conversation.
Yeah, but you never watch our recommendations, so.
Mhm.
Why would I?
You don't know
I get everything I need from the interaction where you tell me to
Respect
watch.
your elders.
Speaking
I
of,
will say
I just
that
forget.
I will say that Gillyton had a couple inspirations. The big one was WandaVision. Specifically,
Love
specifically with RBBEG.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Speaking of
I
I swear to
BBGs,
God, if we're just stories, I'm gonna fly.
what was
around
Cameron's
the room.
inspiration for Waterloo and the cottage?
I have got to know. I've got to
I'd
know what
love to
all
know.
of you thought. Yeah, so tell us
Okay.
about Waterloo.
So I was coming into this campaign knowing it was probably going to be less combat heavy and more like puzzle solving and intrigue. So I wanted somebody who was like both like intelligent and like knowledgeable of like politics and like the town. And so I was like, okay, I guess like class wise, that really drew me to a wizard druid kind of thing. So I have like a lot of like versatility in this person. And then I was thinking about I did a production of Rent in grad school, and it talked so much about how like the 90s harken back to the 70s, and how like we're very much like doing the same thing now in society. So I was like, okay, that would be fucking hilarious. I just would really vibe with playing a big hippie. And it kind of like just like snowballed from there. I don't know why I became a satyr, but I think it was because I just wanted the weird like stark eyes, that like the horizontal pupils. And I was listening to Waterloo Sunset by the Beatles, and I was like, this is it. This is who he is. This is my man, Waterloo Sunset. Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I don't know what the cottage. So that like very much like made me think like cottage, like, and then like wizard druid is very much like witch. It's like I'm a druid, moon druid, like worship the moon, like have like this grimoire, like just like very witchy stoner, like stoner witch. So it's like, okay, very like Baba Yaga-y, like vibes, cottage that moves around the forests. But I was like, but what if she's dead? What if she's gone? And I was like lonely and still a little satyr in the woods. So that was kind of like, it's a lot of different inspirations, but he's his own damn thing. I don't know what came over me. Sorry.
When did you? I have learned to not ever question. When did you decide he has two different voices?
When he
'Cause-
woke up in his other memory. Like right before I went down and talked to with a woman, I was like, I'm just gonna fuck with her. That was literally it.
I loved it.
But
that was very funny.
And then like over time, it definitely became something of like that is like his gentler, like like shyer side. So.
Love it.
The one that's not a cunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he
Absolute.
still very much is. Like you can't
Absolute.
take that away.
Very much.
No. He's a very like very intelligent minded person who's trying not to be that at all times.
I love it.
Get it?
Sera,
Yo,
tell me about Kaylee. Like, where did she come from?
Kaylee was an idea of what it would be like to have someone who had everything taken away from her and was forced to rely on herself without any support from any like social group or any of those bonds, and put her into a situation in which she had everything and was cared for and all that, and just to have that contrast of that hurt, lonely person underneath struggling to understand why she can't make connections in this perfect world, for her at least. And so that's what she was for. That's why I made her a rogue and a thief, and just sort of had her living rough in her real life. so that we could have that contrast and see where that went. And as a result, I spent a lot of time sort of disassociating in character because just things were just too much. And she
I
didn't
love
have
Kaylee.
she didn't
I
have
do too.
the internal like emotional support system inside to handle things.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, we'll see what happens in campaign 2. We'll see if we explore more of that. You guys are still in Gillyton, so, and her parents are still there being really worried about
Right.
reefer madness. So
Yeah.
so
Gotta keep
scared.
tabs on those kids and them drugs.
It's a real thing.
It's
It's a real thing. It's an epidemic.
What about Snips? I think Snips
yeah.
has
Yeah.
Snips has
Yeah.
Snips has a past. Tell us about Snips.
Snips is so special, you guys. So Snips is a product of the fact that all of the other characters that I have ever played are Waterloos, more or less. They're suave and as gay as you can possibly be, with like the sass and the charisma and the swagger. And like I was like, let's be none of those things. Let's try it and see how it goes. So I was invited to another campaign by a friend, and it flubbed up and it didn't go anywhere. And then when Laura was like, hey, do you want to try this fun thing? I was like, of course. Now Snips has a chance to get his little story told. So I kept his backstory like really basic for the most part. He has his... Well, there's actually a couple things that nobody knows about Snips yet that even he doesn't know about himself. So those stay secret. But we do know about Snails, his adopted hobgoblin brother. Who, yeah, yep. He was basically about the same height as Sheriff Knightley, but he had more like a rust copper color skin. And he was a druid.
Long sleep little
That killed my ass.
scene.
I'm so sorry.
I was like, what
the
is
big
going on? Are we
sleep.
lighthearted? Where's the lightness in my heart? Because it is heavy now.
It's not one of my campaigns if I don't traumatize somebody.
Yeah, the big sleep and wild mum. Those were what we learned with Snips this time. But yeah, no, he's a little goober, and I actually feel like I kind of had it a little bit easy this campaign because everybody else had to juggle their two different sets of memories, and I just had to be clueless the whole time. It made it kind of fun.
What I wouldn't give to just be Snips.
That's why I made him Cam.
In real
Just
life,
worried about his mud. Just worried about his mud.
Yeah, this ain't my mud. I don't know whose mud is this.
I would be so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if everybody just gave me fucking Cheetos and nachos and
Dude, he was living his high life with Tez giving him treats all the time. And that was the problem. Waterloo gave him permission to eat something once, and that was a standing permission for everything in the cottage.
Take what you want, darling. Take what you want.
I would also like to just say, because so again, Snips has been in both versions of this campaign, and both times Snips has seen the child. The only one to see the child in the first round.
Weird.
Yeah,
So,
well, he met the
fucked
child
with my brain
because he
too
almost
much.
died in the first iteration. This one was a little bit better for him.
You did see him while high on drugs, which I think is very similar.
Yeah,
so,
substances.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, it made sense to me.
Yeah.
I like the baby man. It was a good thing. He was great.
And last but absolutely not least, our dear Tez. So
Yes!
tell us about Tez.
The old shoeless Joe.
So first, the original concept was something that was way more complicated. And then I kind of was just like, no, I just want to play. Oh, actually, we did session 0. That's what it was. I was still like very unsure about it. And then we did session 0, and I was like, oh, we cannot have another low wisdom character. we will never solve a fucking problem. And so I was like, all right, we're not going to be a paladin. We're going to be a ranger. And then I just kind of built him. So the first character design was just going to be like this contrast, right? Where in his real life or whatever, in the outside, he was confident and intelligent and whatever. And then the inside was going to represent this paladin that was just like, I'm just a physical body, right? I am skill and expertise embodiment. And then I was like, what if I just made him fucking sad? What if I just made him the saddest piece of shit? Living with his parents, kind of bullied by his little brother. And then I kind of built
that was not kind of. You were fully bullied by that child.
Yeah. As an older sibling bullied by their younger sibling,
oh, we're gonna take that to 11. Yeah. But
well, I like
exactly.
exactly.
That kind of stuff only happens though, right? If the older person is like, oh yeah, maybe I do deserve this. So that was kind of what I wanted, right? I was like, I don't know. And then there's a bunch of secret stuff, but wanted it to I wanted his real memory or his real life to have everything and have won everything, and then his like Gillyton memories to be like, but you don't, bitch, and always feel like I liked the idea of I can't get out, but I always want to, and that is like sort of what makes him sad. Is he kind of always knew this something wasn't right, but he thought it was just like the like I don't know, I'm trying to think of like that 80s movie where the guy's like, I gotta get out of here, like Saturday Night Fever or something like that, right? Like I gotta go to the big city, I gotta go make it. Except he never gets out of this town, and that's what like drives his little sad sap thing. And then Waterloo was Waterloo, and it just snowballed.
I would also like to say that it is not my fault that Tez's wife was trapped in Gillyton. That was not my idea.
Yeah, well,
I got a text from David. I got a text from David saying, wouldn't that be interesting? And I went, sure would.
Yeah.
And then I turned that bitch into a fountain.
Well, how is he going to be like... How is he going to be married and that not play in?
Yeah.
Because I definitely wanted to play... Like, a lot of my characters are big old sluts.
True.
And so I was like, I want to play like a family man. I want to play a guy that's like just trying to do his best. So I adopted a child and I found my wife. So it's a pretty successful campaign one for me.
It's even better when you think about the fact that you adopted a whole ass man.
A grown man.
Snips is 8 years old.
Grown adult.
I think Yanti's life expectancy is really low because they die a lot in war in the racist book origin that they came from. But I would imagine they're like a magical being, so they probably live for a long time. So maybe Snips is like still a baby in his culture or something.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess, because this is not spoilers by any means, but let's just say Snips' lifespan is not as short as a goblin's lifespan for reasons you all don't know.
Because you're an evil god and you trapped us here and are feeding off of our brains.
The whole time.
Snips is the BBEG, guys.
The whole time.
Figure it out.
My like forest-looking Liv Tyler wife is eternal, so you're definitely a child to them.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So this ties
She looks
into...
like Wild Mom, and that makes my heart happy.
She's wild.
She
Mom.
does.
She is a wild mom. What's up?
Step wild mom. So this kind of goes with that question, which is the question that somebody asked was, what made you choose to play the races and classes that you chose for Gillyton? You kind of touched on them. I guess, was Snips always why a goblin? I mean, it's been a while since you had to think about this character creation.
Yeah, I have had him for a long time, and I think I picked a goblin because, I mean, I like what I like to call the New Age goblin. Goblins are problematic, as everyone knows, because of all of the terrible, terrible past that goblins have. So with this sort of New Age goblin of them being more cat-like and like feline and being a little bit different than whatever those terrible stereotypes made them out to be, I have like always identified with that. Maybe it's because I'm a cat parent of 4, I don't know. But being a tiny goblin that likes shiny things as I do, you can see my background. I'm a collector. I collect all kinds of weird shit. So the thought of being a little grubby man that collects weird shit was very appealing to me. Yeah.
I love it. I
could have been a
that.
kobold too. That was my second choice.
Oh
my
yeah,
God, that
that
would
was
have
a
been
solid
cute.
choice.
Yep.
I mean, the goblin is
Oh
great.
my god, the kobold would have been so perfect with Tez.
A little
too,
hoarder.
though.
A little hoarder. Yep.
Just a little hoarder. We know
I
that
have a kobold too, but
Cam made him a satyr because why not? I'm kind of that way too.
They're cute, man. Their eyes are dope.
They're
Mr. Tumnus
amazing.
Core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the book that he got read. It was Narnia, not your story.
Yeah, I got it. I was just upset.
I got it. I was in a rage.
Amazing.
I call my stomach my tumnus.
Hey. I don't want you to do that anymore. I don't like it.
Why, my little tumnus? My little tumnus. He's hungry.
No.
Because stomach to tumnus.
The
Easy
personification is more upsetting than the name.
I've done it for a long time. Can't take away from me, my little tumnus.
Sarah, will you ever play a not a human? Not that that's not a judgment whatsoever. I love the humans, but like, are you tempted? Like seeing all of us be our nonsense, would you want to branch out into other races and?
Yeah, spoiler, next game I'm playing a different race.
Oh,
whoa!
You heard it here first, guys. You
take your bets now. I'll take action.
I'll take a bet.
What do you think? No, you know.
I think it's a. I don't actually, but I won't.
Take a. What do you think? What do you think?
You can know. You have the possibility of knowing.
I have a possibility to know. If I guess it, then I think it's probably in my subconscious, and I'm cheating. I can't guess.
I don't know. I can tell you right now, I probably read the text of what it is. I have no memory. So it's all gone. David, I would love for you to talk about why you went with Yuan Ti, because I loved your reasoning behind that.
Yeah, so we touched a little bit about why the 90s wasn't just a cool, rad time, right? We've alluded to it, but there's this thing that you experience as like a non-white person in this country, and it's just like a little casual racism, right? It's the subtext of whatever. And I don't remember whose game it was I saw, but I saw an actual play where they coded Yuan Ti into like a Mesoamerican, a generic, a kind of a problematic, to be honest, display, but a Mesoamerican style culture. And with Tezcatl being the feathered serpent god, I was like, yeah, why the fuck not? That's really cool. And it could be essentially like they're Mexican in middle America, right? Where it's you're always kind of fighting a stereotype. You're always kind of hiding. You're never quite white enough for your friends at school, and your parents are always concerned you're too American when you're at home, right? And so it's like, kind of wanted to play with that just a little bit, right? Because we are in a lighthearted Didn't want us to. I think Laura did a really good job of navigating that, but definitely wanted, because that's a real experience, and so I put that a little bit of my own life into that, right? Trying to fit in somewhere different, where you're just a little different. Yeah, so that's why I picked you on T. Yeah, and so I just really tied it into Mayan / like Aztec mythology and culture with Kotli, right? He's feathered serpent, and then his name is Tezcatlipoca. Yeah, it was just really cool. I just thought it was a really cool opportunity to do something like that.
I love it.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite parts of that. It was so cool. What next?
Ooh, I like number 6 a lot.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is character based. What would each of your characters add to a time capsule? Snips, nothing.
Oh, my
I take it.
jingliest pair of keys.
Oh, guys, yeah, that's all the way back to the first session where Snips gave Tez the most jangly keys to make him feel better.
Jingle your keys, bucko.
Jingle your keys. Indeed.
I think Waterloo would like put pages of his grimoire, specifically this weird spell that he can't really figure out, and it just appeared in there that he never wants to forget. I
desperately wanted you to use it.
Yeah, he can't figure it out.
It's not too late.
With probably about an eighth of the good Kush.
It's a generous amount.
Hey, you just put a little bread in the bag and it'll revive most vegetables. I'm assuming it does the same thing with that.
Sure, that's how that works.
I think
Let's go with that.
Tez probably would have put a headband because he doesn't have his Game Boy anymore.
A god
Sorry
has
about
it.
that.
No, it's very. I would rather the god have the Game Boy and and not have to create a new character.
You have he has the Game Boy. You have your life.
Fair trade for sure.
What about Kaylee?
Kaylee, I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling to think of something she would, because she either claws onto something and holds it tight and would not put it into a time capsule, or it's meaningless to her and she would just not bother to put it into a time capsule. So she's sort of a creature of extremes there. So I think she would maybe like find something like from her altar and put it in, but then after a few seconds rush back and grab it and pull it out and just finally
the sheriff's
without anything in there.
The sheriff's gun, now that it doesn't have any bullets left because you just
Right.
emptied a clip at it's like, gotta get rid of the evidence. Here you go.
A perfect place for this.
I feel like the gun would go on the altar, not gonna lie.
That's a question though. I gotta. What was? Because there's so many this season. What was your favorite chaotic moment?
I'm sorry. My soul left my body when Kaylee said, "I'm going to shoot that dog," because again, it came from my solid player, who I can always count on to keep these shits in line.
Nope.
And Kaylee went, "I'm gonna kill that dog," and I'm like,
"No, see, I knew we were in trouble when Kaylee said, "I take the gun." Shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Like we're fucking. The rails are way in the back. We're off them rails.
Honestly, like I'm kind of desensitized to Cam and his chaos. Like I'm like, something's gonna happen, so I'm used to it. Like I'm just waiting for it to happen. But yeah, no, that caught me so off. Like it literally, like panic in my eyes of like what is happening.
Laura,
I loved it.
I'm gonna shoot that dog.
I'm gonna shoot
I have
that
to
dog.
capitalize on what you said though, because you know how you said we were all desensitized to Cam.
Yeah.
That is a perfect segue into my favorite chaotic, unhinged piece of shit moment in this campaign when he is levitating as Lisa, withholding a witch bolt, showing restraint in front of an entire crowd of people. That was the absolute most buck wild thing, and it came from Waterloo. And that was what restraint looked like.
Yeah.
That was him holding back.
You didn't do it.
It
It
was
was
also
insane.
it was kind of just like, why?
It was,
Like, what?
it was out of
waste
pocket
these
completely.
spells to just
For the mood. Levitate, because if the water broke, it wouldn't get on my feet or surrounding.
It was so out of pocket.
Because
It was
that
crazy.
definitely wouldn't spray. Like that level
No.
of explosion would not spray everywhere.
God.
It's better. It was a strategical move disguised as chaos, because Ard had just asked me, if you break it, how are you going to get away from the water? So Cameron was like, let me fucking look at my spells. Let me prep just in case that we want to destroy this thing. And so I levitated up, and I was like, well, obviously there's people around, so I got to be Lisa.
Mhm.
And I held a spell just in case somebody was like, light it up, motherfucker.
The Lisa
So-
thing to the fucking Lisa bit as a whole.
Driving the car into the sheriff's office.
That's my favorite moment. It's driving the car into the sheriff's office and accidentally killing two sheriffs.
That
Yeah,
was-
with bioterrorism, mind you.
You fucking killed two people. You gotta
With
fix
a body
that.
of a
You gotta look at
troglodyte,
that.
a dead
Yeah.
troglodyte.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: the most chaotic part for me was that the plan worked perfectly.
It
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
did.
somehow.
There was
It
no.
fucking did.
It was exactly how I pictured it, and exactly what I wanted to happen. So that's the most chaotic part for me: is the plan actually working?
And I swear, if we don't get a sound bite, I want it because I want it as like an alarm or something. Because there was one point in this past finale where you, under your breath, in Waterloo's voice, went, "God damn it, Cameron!" And I was like, "I need it. I need that moment where like you got like scolded by your own D&D character."
You're gonna break my psyche, man. That's wild.
It's so good.
I'll
We're finding
find it
that.
for you.
Yeah, we will
Oh,
all
no.
find it.
Oh no.
Play a little loop. That's
What about you,
very
Kaylee?
funny. What was your favorite? What was your
was-
unhinged moment? What
Oh
was
no,
it?
it was for sure the sheriff's office.
that was-
So good.
Too much.
I will have to say I did kind of just block it from my memory, even though it was in the last session. But you all busting in on Mildred, like
Oh, you don't know how close I was to shooting that fucking woman.
I do know. I saw you.
I have to be very honest. I was a little upset. David was. I was
The
like, we
moment-
can't fucking shoot this woman. We can't fucking shoot these women. We cannot be the monsters that shoot a woman. Like, there's a very popular podcast, actual play, whatever, that's notorious for killing old people. And I was like, we cannot kill this old woman for no reason.
Well, the moment Snips was like, I don't come out of the bag and tell anybody what I'm seeing, I was like, we're
I
going
know,
all in.
yeah.
We're going all in. This woman's gonna fry.
I was trying to hide from Mildred. Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, now I gotta save Mildred's
I
life.
baited that motherfucker.
I know. I
with the
didn't
camera.
realize. I didn't like think about it because again, I'm also used to Sera playing way more level-headed characters. And I, like my initial brain thought was, oh, Sarah's with Cameron. They won't murder this old
It'll
woman.
be fine.
Bang, bang
And
into
then-
the room.
Kaylee whipped out the fucking pistol and was like, sit down, bitch. Let's have a fucking talk.
Ugh.
Oh, I wish it would have just been us in that room. That would have been hilarious.
You would have had a dead halfling, 100%.
Oh God.
I'll learn animate dead.
Fun fact. In the first go around, Mildred was the BBEG. Mildred was the hag.
Yeah, that's fucking right.
And my chaos character made it a bit and like met Mildred and said that was the scariest fucking thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like she's the literal devil. Like
what happened in session 1? He wanted to kill her
in session 1, and I was like, Colin, if you don't fucking shut up, I'm a brand new DM. You cannot wreck my shit like this.
I'm so
shut up.
scared
Shut
right
up.
now. Shut up.
And the pictures of her grandkids that were cute little halflings I was describing, they were Wanty. Her little minions were Wanty.
Oh.
Yeah. So when David was like this, I was like that. Well, one, I was like, Mildred can't be the BBEG this time because that is way too obvious. But it was funny. I will show a picture of what Mildred actually looks like. I've got a little mini of her. I love her.
Honestly, if it was her, I didn't catch on until like the dream sequence.
Yeah.
Where like you straight up were like, it could be a small. So like that was a great red herring, because like I didn't suspect a thing. I was like, oh good, got rid of that obstacle. We stealthed away from her. That's the only reason she was there.
Lou screaming at everybody about how it's the wrong color sent me to the moon, by the way. Over and over the entire time being like, it's not! It's the wrong color! No one else had the same dream he did. None of us knew what the fuck he was talking about.
Not a clue.
Get on my level. Guys, what are you talking about?
Oh, God.
David, did you say your favorite chaos moment? What was your favorite?
Yeah, it was when Kaylee stole the sheriff's gun.
Yeah.
But because it was the gateway, right? Not because of like the significance of like it should have been way more of a marker, but I was like, so this is where kids trust your instincts, right? You know, when they're like, hey, if somebody seems like a creep, they're probably a creep or whatever, right? Yeah. So like in that moment, I was like, there's nothing good that's gonna come of that. And then my like follow-up thought was like, oh no. Sera said she always needs to find like improvised weapons, and those are going to be like symbolized weapons. I was like, so she's just doing that. She's just marking that off. And then like every other like major moment where I'm like, how do I get control of the situation? Was like Sarah's like, I put my hand on the gun. And I'm like, oh my God. I shoot the dog. Holy shit. I pulled the gun out on Mildred. What the fuck is going on?
It did get worse and worse every time.
It was beautiful.
I'm curious.
Character growth.
Did anybody suspect Kara?
Not even a little bit.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And then I forgot. The only thing was because I was like, why is this woman asking this sad piece of shit out? And I thought, I don't know, maybe Laura.
Because she's also a sad piece of shit working in a skating ring.
Yeah, I was like,
I
was like, maybe it's like one of those like his little thing is he's like a adorable little puppy. That was, and then I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, she was inspired by I don't think I described her like this, but I did say she was a small, cute Asian girl, because she was inspired by a clip from Everything Everywhere All at Once. The scene where the daughter goes, I was like, that's terrifying, and she's my new bad guy.
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah. And just like doing research on night hags and everything, and really they love to sow paranoia. So like just her being a shit starter is like my favorite. So that's why I was like, she's kind of, she's fucking with everybody.
I love it.
I almost vaporized her. Just right there.
All right. I think we got time for one.
Yes. Last question. You ask.
What's everyone's favorite 90s sitcom?
Oh, okay. I got a bunch of them. Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
No.
The Nanny.
Favorite.
I love The Nanny. I pick
Favorite.
the nanny.
Favorite.
I pick Sabrina.
The
I
nanny.
don't know. That's a
Of
hard
course, you
question.
pick Sabrina.
I love Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It was a great one. It got me
It
through
was pretty good.
my childhood.
Okay, that's all your time, Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
Or
No,
okay,
I've
Laura,
literally
go.
just been flipping through a list of 90s sitcoms, and I'm just like, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. I hate sitcoms, y'all. I can't do it.
This is it kind of counts as it. Clarissa explains it all. Melissa Joan Hart, young Melissa.
Never synced it.
Sabrina, yeah. It's a friend that turned into a boyfriend would climb through her window like it was totally normal. It was the 90s were wild.
Oh, fun.
Nickelodeon. Yeah. It was very she knew a lot of things. She had an annoying ginger brother who was a complete dweeb. She went to school. It was like it's 100% my vibe. It's slice of life and just like a girl just trying to live. So I was like, hit me.
It's like the forerunner for Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah,
Ooh,
100%. It was a Nickelodeon. It was 100% a Nickelodeon show. So Nickelodeon,
got,
guys.
Oh man, I was a baby in the 90s. Like a baby. So I'm gonna go with Arthur.
Arthur's so good.
Oh, Arthur was great.
PW.
I feel like that counts
What are
because
you
that was my
doing?
90s sitcom that
Yeah.
I would watch on PBS for sure.
Yeah.
All the time.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, 100%.
Oh, that's
okay.
a good
See, I didn't
one.
watch that till I was older. But in the 90s.
Yeah, but you could still.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
count it.
honest. Neither did I. I would stay up in high school watching them on my iPad or my iPod, little guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, YouTube.
My late nights were anime on like
I
Toonami
was
or
a
some
small child who was watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
shit. I love
The
that.
biggest crush
I
on-
love
I
that
did
so much.
The biggest crush on the first Aunt Viv.
I was gonna say which Aunt
But-
Viv.
Yeah, the first one. That was like one of my
first one
first
got fired.
crushes, to be honest.
Oh God.
There's
Drama.
T. Anyway,
Right.
There's Fresh Prince of Tea.
there's 100% T.
Yeah, there was a
Like
whole
that.
reunion show. They made up.
Yeah.
All right.
Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Yes.
Our little
Keep
yeah.
my mom's name out your fucking mouth.
We're gonna dance naked in the moonlight, baby.
I mean, the question is she your mom? It's like Schrodinger's
Yeah, I
mom.
Schrodinger's mom.
She's
Well,
both
now
your
that's
mom and
merch.
not your mom.
That's
Schrodinger's mom is our new merch. We're
That's
making a
merch.
list, guys. We're not going to make any of it for quite a while.
All
but,
mother theme. All mother theme. Wild
Mother's
mom,
Day.
Schrodinger's mom.
Yeah, we're like the opposite of Dimension 20. They're all mom issues, or they're all dad issues, and we're all mom issues. Right? Fancy High.
Bye.
Amazing. But seriously, I want to thank you guys for playing this game with me. It is a huge this obviously this campaign setting has a huge special place in my heart. So getting to actually get it out there is huge for me and I really appreciate it. I thank all of you guys for sticking around and watching. Definitely come back. We are going to be seeing the trailer for our next campaign, which as I mentioned is being run by our very own David. It's going to be spooky, so keep an eye out for that.
Let's see how long my hair gets.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for having me for this campaign.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
really fun to get to meet and play with you guys. It was very fun. And
Yay.
I love you and Snips loves you and I can't wait for it to come back.
And Jess will be coming back when Gillyton comes back
Woo!
around as the
And
cycle
probably
works,
other
so-
things at some point.
And you'll probably be
Hey!
seeing
You
Jess
better.
around. Yeah, for sure.
I want
right.
to see a sexy elf
No.
character.
Yeah, let's see.
That's
Jess be-
easy for me.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining. Come back next week for trailers for the next campaign, and we will see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.